Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting of Town of Grand Falls Windsor Council number 489. And before we get into the formal part of our meeting tonight, we do have a very special ceremony that we'd like to get, and it's really the most important thing I think that we will do this evening, so it's nice that we're getting that done up front as it should be. And we got our friends here from the Canadian Red Cross. So Pauline, I would ask if you would come up front. I'm going to shift my chair out of the way here. And I'm going to let you speak with this, Pauline.
With this, or
sure.
give me a microphone?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Pauline Beersford, and I work with the Canadian Red Cross, and we're here for a very, very special event tonight. There's something about people in Grand Falls walking on sidewalks and falling down and people saving their lives, and that's what we're here for tonight. I think if it didn't happen the way it did, this gentleman certainly wouldn't be alive today. And I'll just read you a little story just to tell you what had happened and how it happened. On March 9th, 2016, Brooklyn and Chloe were coming home from school for lunch, as they usually did every day. When they got off the bus, they were going their separate ways to their homes when Chloe shouted to Brooklyn, "Come quick, there's a man in the snow and he's not moving." With quick thinking, Brooklyn told Chloe to stay with the man, and she ran to get help from her parents. Brooklyn's parents, Sabrina and Keith, were startled by Brooklyn's entrance that day as she was shouting for them to come help the man who was in trouble. They immediately went to John, assessed the situation, and began CPR. And then John is John McSween. Keith dialed 911 while Sabrina continued chest compressions on Mr. McSween. What seemed like hours but was mere minutes, the paramedics came and took over from Sabrina. That day could have turned out so different had those two young ladies not taken the quick action they did to get help. I think it's amazing what they did to have the wherewithal to have one stay with Mr. McSween while the other ran for help. People, CPR works. Get your first aid courses. There's a plug for Red Cross. But get your first aid courses, because CPR does work. I'm sure Mr. McSween and Cheryl, his wife, are very appreciative to all involved for saving his life, because that day they certainly saved his life. So we are here this evening to present four of the people who involved: Sabrina Butt, Keith Butt, and the two young ladies, Brooklyn Rogers and Chloe Cuff, who had the smart idea to stay with Mr. McSween and the other one get help. And we are sure, and as I just spoke with John, he is certain that he probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for these four people. So if I could call forward Sabrina Butt, Keith Butt, Brooklyn Rogers, and Chloe Cuff. We have a presentation to make, rescue award to you. John, if you want to come up with us, we'd love to have you here. I don't know what way they are. Judy, Mr. Mayor, if you want to start. Keith?
Keith, congratulations. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you here this evening, and obviously something you'll never forget, I'm sure, for the rest of your life. That's right. Yeah, thank you very much on behalf of the town. Brooklyn. Spoke to you a little bit there before you came up. I found out that Brooklyn and Chloe not only are best friends in grade 8, but share the same birthday. And if that wasn't surprising enough, I found out their birthday is February the 29th.
Oh.
So how's that for a match made? There's some destiny there. So thanks, Brooklyn, for obviously, as Pauline said, your quick thinking that day, you and Chloe, and what you've done to help Mr. McSween, obviously, live beyond that day and to enjoy hopefully many more. And I'm sure it's something you should be very proud of. And we're proud of you guys for what you've done, and I know that the community is very proud of you, so I'm pleased to speak on their behalf. Congratulations. Chloe, come over. I'm not going to get away that easy. So I'll shake your hand again and thank you again. I know I had a little opportunity to speak to you guys before you came on there. And again, for your quick thinking, one to stay with Mr. McSween, the other to run and get help. And as things turned out, it was exactly the right thing to do. So congratulations on that, and all the best to you now in the future. And I'm sure, again, that this is something you'll never forget. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Sabrina. Again, Sabrina, congratulations and thank you very much on behalf of the town for what you did on that day for Mr. McSween and obviously, playing a part in saving his life. We're very proud of the community and people like you who stepped up as you did on that day, and we're very pleased to give this to you on behalf of the Red Cross. Thank you.
I just want to thank the town for letting us use such a wonderful venue to do this event. It's always special when the town can be a part of our Rescuer Awards. I also want to thank Barry, Mayor Manuel, for letting us do this. And behind the scenes, there is quite a bit of work goes into this. And Deputy Mayor Mike and myself have been playing phone tag for probably a year now trying to plan this. So I just want to thank everybody. And if you see the people behind me with the vest, these are the people that are the Red Cross. These are our volunteers who every day put themselves out there and spend many hours working with us and helping us. They're the first face you'll see in our office, and probably the first face that you'll see at a disaster. So if I could plug, we are recruiting volunteers, so if anybody's interested, www.redcross.ca. Thank you so much. I don't know if anybody wants to. Did you want to say a few words, John?
I'd just like to say that despite the ordeal, I was very, very fortunate. I mean, the way things aligned that day to have done what was done by the girls, the two young girls who were so quick to react and do what they did, and Sabrina and Keith to come out and perform the CPR that was required to keep me alive, basically, right? So it was a big event. It was certainly a big event in my life, one that I won't forget for a while. So thank you very much.
So thanks to everybody again, Pauline and the rest of the volunteers with the Red Cross. Always a pleasure to have you here, and especially on a happy occasion like this. And John, I've known you a long, long time. Watched you coach hockey, remember the stories you playing hockey, played some golf with you, and see you around a lot. And a finer gentleman I know you'll never meet, and I really mean that because everybody says the same. And I know you were out campaigning hard at that time for Deputy Mayor Brown as a campaign manager. And I'm not saying that had anything to do with it now, but I guess Deputy Mayor Brown also...
Stress.
Lots of stress from that, yeah. But thanks for coming out tonight, John. Certainly glad to see you. And to all the Red Cross volunteers, thank you very much on behalf of the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Okay. I can give everybody a moment there to, if you want to stay, you can. But I'm guessing that most people are here for the ceremony and would like to step out. So I'll give you a moment if you wanted to collect your things. If you want to stick around, as I said, you're more than welcome. But we usually don't have too much of a gallery at these meetings. Yes, yeah. Okay, certainly a fantastic moment for the community, and it's hard to believe that was nearly 2 years ago now when that incident occurred. I know lots of media coverage around it, and again, our pleasure, and I'm sure I speak for all the council and staff when I say it's our pleasure to have the Red Cross here, and John, and the heroes in this case, the young girls and the families, the Butts, who did so much to help John on that day. With that, I'll call the regular meeting to order. As I said, number 489. First order of business is the adoption of the minutes of meeting number 488. Any errors or omissions? Councilor Cody Davis.
Yeah, just one correction. On page 18 of the minutes, in the other business discussion, or on the budget discussion actually, it's stated there that I said our paving was reduced from 6 kilometers to 4. It's actually 4.5 kilometers, so I wanted to make sure that half kilometer was accounted for.
That's a big half a kilometer.
There is.
Okay, thanks for that. That'll be edited. Any other errors or omissions? Hearing none, I look for a mover. Councilor Feener, and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Brown, any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Moving along, any business arising out of the minutes? No business arising. We'll move into committee reports. Economic Development, Tourism, and Heritage. Councillor Whiffen.
The Economic Development, Tourism, and Heritage Committee met at 5 p.m. on Monday, January 29, 2018. Present were myself, Councillor Rod Bennett, Councillor Sean Feener, and Councillor Amy Cody Davis, and Gary Hennessy, Economic Development Officer. First item was the Community Profile Facilitator Report. The Economic Development Officer presented a status report on the updating of the community profile. The project is progressing and information is being compiled. The profile will be completed by the end of May and will be available in hard copy and online. Then we reviewed the brand purchases 2018 review. The Economic Development Officer presented an updated list of items that Council intends to purchase this year. The committee reviewed the items and pricing and recommended the following: remove scarves from the list, increase the number of mugs ordered to 500, ensure that the white baseball caps have the orange logo on them. All other quantities and pricing are acceptable and will be ordered shortly. Heritage Advisory Committee minutes from November 27, 2017. The committee reviewed the minutes of this meeting and adopted them as presented. Social media training. The committee reviewed a proposal from a local company to offer social media training to staff for Facebook and LinkedIn. The committee recommends that we not pursue this training at this time. Gordon Pinsent Center for the Arts LED sign request. The committee reviewed a request to partner with the center to erect a digital LED sign on the side of the current center sign on Cromer Avenue. The committee recommends that this item be referred to Public Works and Planning Committee for further discussion. Canoeing project. The committee has received a letter from a local business to develop a canoeing program on the riverfront by Gorge Park. The committee recommends that this be referred to Public Works and Planning Committee for further discussion. And just a note, I guess, on those last two items, there are some regulation in there pertaining to town and municipal rules and guidelines that would be reflected in Public Works and Planning, so full discussion couldn't occur at this meeting. So then we moved on to the letter of support for the Exploits Valley Community Radio. And the committee received correspondence asking council for a letter of support as the Exploits Valley Radio Incorporated pursues a license for a low-power FM transmitter. The committee recommends that council draw up this letter of support for this group. And in other business, the Minister's Roundtable on Immigration. The Economic Development Officer has been invited to participate in this discussion on February 7th. The Economic Development Officer has previously participated in the Immigration Portal Project as well as the Newcomers Group and will bring these experience to this roundtable. We also discussed Saltscape Expo 2018. The town will be participating in the Saltscape Expo in April and have invited a representative from the Samonite Interpretation Center to attend with us. The town will cover some expenses of the center's participant, flight only. The Economic Development Officer will discuss with the center's representative and report back to council. The meeting adjourned at 6:15 p.m. I move the recommendations of this and report of this committee.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Whiffen, seconded by Deputy Mayor Brown. Any discussion on the economic development, tourism and heritage minutes? Hearing none. I just got one comment there, I guess, with regards to the brand items. I missed this meeting, and this doesn't happen very often. I'm just a little bit, even though I'm going to vote in favor of the minutes, I'm a little bit disappointed to see that the scarves are removed from the list, because when we spoke about the brand items before, I talked about how I use the scarves often for the multicultural students who come from away, and they have been a big hit. So I'm going to ask at a later time maybe that we reconsider and get a few anyways, because the people from Qatar and that come over particularly really like the scarves that we had. I think the last time we ordered scarves was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and we were just using the same supply. So I would have mentioned that had I been there, but I missed that meeting. I think we were in St. John's for other meetings on those days. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Anybody else? Deputy Mayor Brown.
With respect to the community radio, the Valley Radio, and Mark mentioned in these minutes, had an opportunity to visit Valley Radio in the mornings a couple of times this past week, because they got a good operation out there. I got to say, I was fairly impressed. They got a morning show, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. They got some shows in the afternoon. One of our attendees here tonight, Mr. Hewlett, has his own show there, him and his buddy, in the afternoons on Valley Radio. So I ask everybody to go on you need the internet to get that Valley Radio. They're in the process of applying for a license so that it will appear on the FM dial at some point over the next year or even 2. It takes a long time, but just ask people to tune in and support the Valley Radio. Like I said, it's a real good show, and congratulations to all those guys that got that up and running.
Yeah, and of course, one of the people I always think about, I'm sure we all do, is former Councillor Tom Pinsent, who is heavily involved in that effort and obviously puts a lot of work into it. You know, it's important to support local community, as you're alluding to, and right now I think it's valleyradio.ca that the website is. So if you just go on to valleyradio.ca, and there's a little link there that you will get the whatever is on throughout the day. They got a number of different programs in that, and as the Deputy Mayor had indicated, they're hoping to get approval from CRTC to have their own frequency on the dial, which would, I'm sure, up the interest and the viewing audience significantly. Okay. Any other discussion on the economic development, tourism, and heritage minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Public Works and Planning, we have 2 sets of minutes for Public Works. Deputy Mayor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Works and Planning Committee met on 6 p.m. Wednesday, January 31st. Those in attendance were myself as chair, Councillor Darren Finn, Councillor Amy Cody Davis, Mayor Barry Manuel, Councillor Rod Bennett, Councillor Sean Feener, Councillor Mark Whiffen, Jeff Sanders, our Town Manager Clerk, Nelson Chapman, our Director of Engineering and Works, and Chad Glendenning, our Assistant Director of Engineering and Works. First order of business, Mr. Mayor, was an environmental and cultural heritage conservation presentation. The committee heard a presentation by Katie Power regarding water conservation and presented some ideas for the town to consider moving forward. Ms. Power left the meeting at 6:45 p.m. Capital. The committee reviewed the updated Schedule A for the town's capital works program. There were discussions on the older multi-year capital works programs that are coming to a close and the current program. Adjustments are required in the Schedule A to meet the needs of the town. This change results in a $120,000 savings in the town's contribution. The committee recommends the proposed Schedule A change proceed as presented and staff forward the necessary documentation to the Department of Municipal Affairs and Environment. Next order of business, Mr. Mayor, was Thomas Street. The committee reviewed the layout of the existing storm sewer system on Thomas Street and Grenfell Heights. A resident previously voiced concern of the system and requested it be upgraded. The engineering department commenced upgrades of the drainage ditch at the rear of the properties, and completion is set for this construction season. These upgrades should address the drainage concerns in this area. The committee recommends that the proposed upgrades of the drainage ditch be completed and that staff contact the resident, Mr. Norman, to inform him of the course of action to be taken. Furthermore, the committee recommends the Public Works Committee to continue to monitor the area moving forward. The dam assessment. A dam assessment has been completed by Seacon Limited for the dam near the water treatment plant in New Bay. The committee reviewed the report and discussed the recommendations put forward by Seacon Limited. The committee recommends funding for those repairs be identified in future multi-year capital works programs and complete some repairs under the Public Works Department if possible. The report also must be discussed at the next Exploits Regional Water Supply Committee meeting in February. 4 Harris Avenue, the sign location. The committee reviewed an application for a sign installation on Harris Avenue for Lincoln Limited. The area identified is on town property. The committee recommends this be approved, but the sign must be removed at the owner's expense upon council's request in the future. Garbage regulation violation. The municipal police have been experiencing numerous violations of the garbage regulations with respect to having the garbage and recycling covered. These violations are constantly on the rise. Police Chief Tebow would like to utilize door hangers with the relevant regulation attached to notify residents they are in violation. The committee recommends that this process be approved and implemented immediately. Snow clearing policy and frequently asked questions. The committee also was advised on the current updates to the snow clearing policy. This policy, snow clearing routes, and frequently asked questions are now posted on the town's website. The committee recommends that the policy, snow routes, etc., be reviewed each year and updated on the website. Municipal Asset Management Program. The committee reviewed a funding opportunity from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to assist with the development and implementation of the town's asset management program. The funding is for $50,000 with an 80%, 20% arrangement. The asset management program is essential for gas tax funding beyond 2019 and helps ensure capital funds are placed in the correct areas to achieve the best return on the town's investment. The committee recommends an asset management committee be developed among council, finance, and administration department, and that the engineering and works department, and to apply for the funding as soon as possible. Cannabis legalization. With the legalization of cannabis commencing on July 1st, 2018, the committee discussed how the town will deal with applications for sale of this product. This needs to be addressed within the town's development regulations moving forward. The committee recommends the sale of cannabis be a discretionary use and possibly limited to commercial and industrial zones. The committee also recommends staff do further research and review guidelines from the Newfoundland Liquor Corporation. In addition, the committee suggested public consultation on this issue prior to a final decision being made. Trans-Canada Highway Beautification RFP. The committee reviewed the final draft of the TCH Beautification RFP. ACOA has indicated they will not assist in funding. The committee recommends staff approach ACOA again for funding and to issue the RFP. However, there will be no award of this RFP until funding has been identified and approved by council. Rafting, Newfoundland and Labrador expansion. The committee reviewed correspondence from Mr. Jeff Orendoff of On Adventure Wilderness Tours Incorporated. Mr. Orendoff would like to expand his business to include an outlet for canoeing and a storage facility in Gorge Park, and would like to purchase land if possible. The committee recommends no land be sold in Gorge Park and for staff to meet with Mr. Orendoff to discuss his proposal. His plans may be able to be incorporated into the overall riverfront development plan. The meeting adjourned at 8:45 p.m. and I move the recommendations and report of this committee.
Okay, it's been moved by Deputy Mayor Brown, seconded by Councillor Cody Davis. Any discussion on the first set of Public Works and Planning minutes? Deputy Mayor Brown.
Trans-Canada Highway beautification. Actually, it was an initiative of Councillor Finn to have the corridor through Grand Falls, Windsor upgraded, make it more appealing, and with the hope that people would stop in Grand Falls, Windsor instead of traveling on through town. So, I'm in favor of the idea, and but we have to remember that's a government of Newfoundland and Labrador corridor, and they're responsible for that highway. It is the way it is now because of what was done there many years ago with respect to the median. But I guess we're all in favor of that corridor being improved, but with all due respect, I guess the money should come from the provincial government or even the federal government for that. I don't think our Grand Falls, Windsor taxpayers' money should be used for that effort. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor Brown. Just to add to that, I guess Cromer Avenue is also included potentially in any study that takes place there in addition to Trans-Canada Highway. So just as a point of note. Any other discussion on the Public Works and Planning minutes? Hearing none, I got a couple of quick things there. One is referred to the garbage regulations, and just an opportunity to remind residents that we do expect people to be covering their garbage with the appropriate means. That could be a container, it could be a mesh net, it could be a sheet of some kind, but as long as it's covered so that it doesn't end up all over the roadways or all over your lawns and driveways, which sometimes is disappointing to see. So we'd ask everybody to make special effort to comply with that town regulation. If you want more information on that, the regulation is on the town website. You can certainly call the Public Works Department as well, and I'm sure you could get more information. And as is indicated in the minutes there, the municipal police don't want to take a heavy-handed approach to this, but we do expect compliance. So the idea is to just a friendly reminder for those that are not complying by way of a door hanger to let them know that you are expected to cover your trash, and you won't be getting a whole lot of door hangers. The door hangers after a while will become tickets. We'll just punch through your doorknob. So, it's just something that obviously helps us with collection, and it helps keep our town clean, which is important to everybody. And secondly, just the rafting. Of course, rafting is quite big here in Grand Falls, Windsor area, and it's something that I think should be noted that council is supportive of working with this company going forward in however means we can to make sure that they're successful. We do have plans for riverfront development, and certainly whitewater rafting is something that is good to have in this area from an attraction standpoint. I just wanted to clarify our support because the minutes read that we won't sell any land, but that doesn't mean we're not going to support Mr. Orndorff or any other related business when it comes to our river. I don't have anything else on those minutes. I don't know if anybody else does. Hearing none, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Public Works and Planning minutes number 2, Deputy Mayor Brown.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'll ask Councillor Feener to leave for these set of minutes. It was deemed he might be in a conflict of interest with respect to the minutes, so he left the committee meeting and he'll leave this one as well. I'm trying to get to the minutes here, Deputy Mayor Brown, okay. And is this just, okay, this is just a separate minute, so in its entirety as well, okay. Yeah, gotcha.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay.
Didn't know if we needed a separation or not.
Public Works and Planning Committee met again 8:45 p.m. Wednesday, January 31st, 2018. Those in attendance were myself as chair, members Councillor Darren Finn, Councillor Amy Cody Davis, Mayor Barry Emanuel, Councillor Rod Bennett. Staff in attendance were Jeff Sanders, Town Manager Clerk, Nelson Chapman, Director of Engineering and Works, and Chad Glendenning, Assistant Director of Engineering and Works. And the meeting was with respect to an LED sign for the Gordon Pinson Centre for the Arts. The committee reviewed a request from Sean Cooper of the Gordon Pinson Centre for the Arts to erect an LED sign on Cromer Avenue, which would replace the existing wooden sign. Mr. Cooper also requested that the town partner with the centre to help with the installation. The committee recommends this not be approved at this time. The proposed location is too close to a busy crosswalk, and there are concerns this LED sign may be a distraction to motorists. The committee also recommends staff meet with Mr. Cooper to choose an alternate location closer to the centre's access and bring it back to the committee for review. Furthermore, the centre will be responsible for all costs associated with the installation. The meeting adjourned at 9 p.m. and I move the recommendations and report of this committee. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, it's been moved by Deputy Mayor Brown. Looking for a seconder. Not many left. Councillor Whiffen, any discussion on the motion?
No,
Deputy Mayor Brown.
Councillor Feener was asked to lead the meeting because he himself had applied for an LED sign for Cromer Avenue at one point in time for the business he owns and operates here in High Street. But council is certainly in favour of having a sign somewhere along to promote the events at the Arts and Culture Centre. Thought that this was a bad location for the sign, and I suspect our staff will be working with the centre and Mr. Cooper in the coming days, if they haven't already, and look for a better location for the sign for everybody involved.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that area. You got the college across the road and the intersection of St. Catherine Street, and now with the skate park and everything and soccer field, there's no doubt a lot of activity in that area. Any other discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Would you mind asking Councillor Feener to come back? Okay, the next order of business, we've got a resolution with regards to the multi-year capital works. So, Deputy Mayor Brown, I'll ask you to deal with that as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The resolution is with respect to revised Schedule A for multi-year capital works program. Whereas the town of Grand Falls qualifies for funding under the provincial multi-year capital works program, and whereas all projects and funding allocations under these agreements must be approved through the Department of Municipal Affairs and Environment, and then whereas the town of Grand Falls, Windsor has available funding remaining in the multi-year capital works program and has to reprofile the funding. Therefore, be it resolved that the Schedule A be revised and funding be reprofiled as per attached revised Schedule A. And I move the report of this motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, the resolution's been proposed by Deputy Mayor Brown. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Feener, any discussion on the resolution? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Moving along, Parks, Recreation, and Special Events. In the absence of Councillor Bennett, we'll ask Councillor Feener to read those minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Park and Recreation and Special Events. Meeting was held at 4:30, Thursday, February 1st, 2018. Present, Chairman, Councillor Rod Bennett. Members, Deputy Mayor Mike Brown, Councillor Amy Cody Davis, Mayor Barry Emanuel, myself, Councillor Mark Whiffen. Staff, Jeff Saunders, Town Clerk Manager, Keith Handel, Director of Parks and Recreation. Civic Awards. The committee discussed the plans for the 2018 Grand Falls Windsor Civic Awards. The date for this awards will be May the 16th, 2018. The committee recommends the Civic Awards Committee start with the plans for this year's event and report back to the committee with a detailed agenda at the next Parks and Recreation Special Events meeting. First Time Skaters Program. The Director of Parks and Recreation informed the committee the expected number of participants in the First Time Skaters Program will be increased dramatically this year and hence over the allotted 2017-2018 budget for the program. The committee recommends the Director of Parks and Recreation and the Parks and Recreation Committee Chair meet with minor hockey and figure skating to come up with suggestions for the 2018-2019 program to help keep it on budget. Exploits Aboriginal Group Correspondence. The committee discussed correspondence from the Exploits Aboriginal Community Group, who are requesting permission to use the new cross-country ski hut to host a Mi'kmaq language camp from October 11th to the 15th, 2018. The committee recommends granting permission to use the facility, but to work out the rental agreement after the building is complete and the facility rental guidelines and contracts are established. Ski hut contract. The director presented the committee with a draft contract of the Exploits Nordic Ski Club to use the new cross-country ski hut and trails. The committee recommends the director meet with the Exploits Nordic Ski Club to discuss the draft contract and bring back suggestions from their club at a future committee meeting. 2019 Provincial Special Olympics update. The committee discussed correspondence from the Special Olympics Newfoundland and Labrador regarding the lack of available hotel rooms in Grand Falls, Windsor for the 2019 Provincial Special Olympics Winter Games. The committee recommends the town manager/clerk contact the manager of the Mount Peyton Hotel regarding room availability, and for the Director of Parks and Recreation to contact the Outreach Coordinator of Special Olympics Newfoundland and Labrador regarding room availability at Greenwood Central Apartments, and both report back to the committee. Perfectly Centered Culinary Festival announcement. The committee discussed plans for the Perfectly Centered Culinary Festival scheduled for August 17th, 18th, 2018. The committee recommends to make the official announcement for the event during the midwinter beaver while head chef Rory McPherson is in Grand Falls, Windsor, which will highlight the chefs participating in this year's festival, as well as the date tickets will go on sale. Montreal Canadiens Alumni Tour. The director informed the committee the Montreal Canadiens Alumni Tour are still interested in bringing their event to Grand Falls, Windsor on March 16th, 2018. The committee had previously decided not to book this event as of the cost $25,000 was just too big a risk. The director proposed to the group we would welcome the show provided that there was no cost to the town and all revenues generated will go up to their group. The director suggested they contact Minor Hockey to partner with them. Stella and Dot correspondence. The committee discussed correspondence from Holly Hoskins regarding a partnership to advise for the sale of Stella and Dot Giving Back I Am Strong t-shirts promoting the I Am Strong message for the girls on the Perfectly Centered Gymnastics Facebook page and email contact list. The committee declines this request but approves putting the promotional flyer on the registration desk at the gymnastics building. Rafting Newfoundland correspondence. The committee discussed the recreational program possibilities listed in the correspondence from Rafting Newfoundland, which includes paddling, kayaking, and paddlefest. The committee recommends staff Rafting Newfoundland to explore these possible programs and that the town could be involved with to utilize the Exploits River and Gorge Park. EVH Safe Grad correspondence. The committee discussed correspondence from the EVH Safe Grad Committee requesting use of the town's bouncy castles. The committee denies this request as we have a no loan out rental policy for our bouncy castles. Winter Stadium memorabilia. The mayor presented the committee with a request from citizens to look at the possibility of showcasing some old memorabilia in Windsor Stadium, similar to the showcase displays in the Joe Byrne Memorial. The committee recommends the director investigate the idea and report back to committee with possibilities and associated costs. The meeting adjourned at 6:10 p.m. I move the recommendations and report of this committee.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Feener. Seconded by Councillor Cody Davis. Any discussion on the Parks, Recreation and Special Events minutes? Councillor Whiffen.
Before I vote on the minutes, I would like a decision on council as to whether or not I would be in a conflict of interest on voting on any issues pertaining to the ski club. I am a member of the ski club. I am not an executive member, but I am a regular member of the club and a regular user of the facility, and I do volunteer to coach the youth Jackrabbit program. So if I'd like a ruling based on that, and if I am found to be in conflict of interest, then I'd like to have that minute removed from these minutes so that I can
Okay.
vote.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Whiffen is putting forth the question to council as to whether or not he would be in a conflict with regards to the ski hut minute. So I guess I'll, yeah, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Brown.
With
Yeah.
respect to my opinion on the matter,
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, I don't think Councillor Whiffen is in a conflict of interest at all. He's just a regular member of the ski club along with 420 other people in town. And I see no reason why he should excuse himself from any decisions with respect to the ski club. And in particular, this particular issue we're talking about here presently. So that's my opinion on that. Mr.
Okay.
Mayor?
I'm not even sure if he can ski very good.
I should add, Mr. Mayor, that
Yes,
Councillor
Deputy
Whiffen has lots of time to go skiing these days. His football team lost, and his hockey team, Montreal Canadiens, are certainly eliminated from the playoffs fairly early this season. So, Councillor Whiffen, enjoy your skiing, buddy.
Yeah. I got a feeling there might be some payback in sometime in the future for that one. Anybody else want to comment before we call for a vote on the conflict question? No? Okay, then I'll ask for a vote. All those who feel that Councillor Whiffen is in a conflict on this, say aye. All those who feel that he is not, say nay. Nay. Councillor Whiffen, you can hang around. Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder on those minutes. Any other discussion, Deputy Mayor Brown?
Just with respect to the Exploits Valley High School Safe Grad Course Madness, those people wanted a loan of our bouncy castles for their high school graduation coming up in June. Unfortunately, we do have a no loaning policy, but more than that, those castles, when they're being operated, bouncy castles, wherever they're being operated in town, there is a liability issue with them too. We got our town staff trained to operate those bouncy castles on a regular basis whenever they're up and operating. So along with the no loan out rental policy, unfortunately, like I said, there is a liability issue with respect to loan them out, and that's the reason we couldn't do it at this time.
Yep. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brown. Councillor Cody Davis.
I just want to add to that comment. Another reason why we have the no loan policy is because we do have businesses in central area who do operate bouncy castles, and we would prefer the general public purchase services from the existing businesses rather than us being the lending agency for that type of equipment.
Yep, absolutely. Any other discussion on the Parks, Recreation, Special Events minutes? Hearing none, I just got a couple of things there. The Civic Awards were mentioned. It's that time already again. Of course, our first annual Civic Awards last year turned out to be a huge success based on the feedback we got from the people who attended, the award winners and the like. So I'd just like to let people know that by next week, we've got our Winterlude activities this weekend, which I'm sure will be mentioned before this meeting is over, but next week the nomination forms will be available online and at the Recreation Department at the Town Hall for those that want to nominate deserving people, groups, teams, etc. For our second annual Civic Awards, which is well underway in the planning stages and we look forward to. And the Culinary Food Festival, the announcement was to be made at the Midwinter Biver that now has been postponed from February 17th weekend to March the 2nd weekend. So keep your ears and eyes peeled for that announcement, and then sometime after that we will be announcing when tickets will go on sale, and I think that's what everybody is anxious and awaiting, because last year, as you remember, tickets went very quickly. I would say in 4 or 5 days, if not less, all 600 tickets to the stadium on Saturday night were sold out. We expect a similar response this time. So we are going to do everything we can to alert people in advance of when the tickets will go on sale so that everybody has fair opportunity to get tickets for those that want to get them. I just wanted to mention that as well. Any other comments on the Parks Recreation Special Events minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Committee of the Whole, Deputy Mayor Brown.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, Councillor Cody Davis.
Yeah, I'd like to put forth a motion to have the leisure services job description separated, to be voted on separately, please.
Okay. Councillor Cody Davis would like to have that minute item separated and has moved for that to take place. So do we have a seconder for that motion to separate?
I'll second that motion.
Deputy Mayor Brown, any discussion on the motion to separate? Councillor Cody Davis.
Well, my rationale for having it separated is just to reiterate my thoughts and feelings from the budget. I don't support that position, so therefore I won't be supporting the job description for that position. So I'd like to have it separate so I could vote on the rest of the minutes accordingly.
Okay. Can we have a motion to separate on the table here? So is there any other discussion on the motion to separate first? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Motion carried. So what we'll do is we will deal with that item first. Trying to find it here. So we'll separate that minute item about the leisure services position job description from the minutes and deal with that separately, Deputy Mayor Brown. So if you could read that into the record, just that minute, we'll deal with it, and then we would go back and deal with the rest of the minutes in their entirety. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Minutes from the Committee of the Whole meeting, 6 p.m. Thursday, February 8th, 2018. Those in attendance, myself as Chair, Mayor Barry Manuel, Councillor Rod Bennett, Councillor Mark Whiffen, Councillor Sean Feener. Staff in attendance, Jeff Sanders, our Town Manager Clerk, Keith Antle, our Director of Parks and Recreation, and Nelson Chapman, our Director of Engineering and Work. Leisure Services Officer Job Description. The committee discussed the job description for the Leisure Services Officer position. A few changes were made, and the job description is attached. The committee recommends this be approved and advertised. And I move the recommendations and report of this committee. Mr. Mayor?
Okay, it's been moved by Deputy Mayor Brown. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Feener. Any discussion on the minute item? No? Councillor Whiffen.
Well, I guess, again, like Councillor Davis had mentioned, I'll just reiterate my thoughts on the budget, where I didn't support this position. And again, it's not to say that I don't recognize or support the programs that the Recreation Department is offering. It was more a matter of identifying a number of budgetary items that would need to be watched over the next 12 months. In addition to the potential of other community groups taking on some of these responsibilities over the next 12 to 24 months, in addition to an increase in labor costs and things like that. And most importantly, I wasn't in favor of adding a new position ahead of the operational review that is soon going out for an RFP, which would identify some organizational structural issues throughout the entire town. And based on the results of that, I'd prefer to review any human resource matters at that time.
Okay. I'm going to stop it right here. I didn't want to interrupt Councillor Whiffen, but I'm not going to entertain any more debate on whether or not to hire a position that we've already decided that we would hire. This minute is about the job description, so I don't think it's fair for us to rehash the debate, or is it in order for us to rehash a debate that took place some time ago. So the minute item is on the job description of the position that has been approved through the budget process. So is there any other discussion on the job description? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
So we are to assume that you voted in favor?
I said,
I didn't hear you
oh yes,
say aye.
I clearly spoke out loud. I would say though, to the point to discuss this tonight. I mean, we had a spirited debate, a very spirited debate at our budget. Everybody had their say, and democracy rules the day. It was a vote of 4-3, a close one, and with all due respect to everybody and their positions, I think it's time for council to accept the position as democracy had laid out. For us to go back and debate this again tonight, it just should never be. I've been on this council, this is my 5th year. There's times that I did not agree with decisions. I didn't get my way, but I didn't come back every time and vote against things related to it. There was a salmon festival, very highly publicized one a few years ago, that I was adamant that we should cancel. And we argued it heavily. And I lost my argument by a vote of 4-3. And after that, I accepted it, I moved on, and I supported the Salmon Festival 100%. And I think that's what everybody should do with this. All due respect, that's what I feel about the democratic process. And if anybody wanted to speak to that comment, they certainly can.
I would like to.
Councillor Cody Davis.
I had no intentions of debating this point tonight. I wanted the minutes separated because I didn't support the position. I was not in attendance for this meeting. I wasn't able to participate in the discussion of the job description. There is no classification added to this position yet. We don't have a salary range in mind. That was my rationale for voting against this position tonight.
I just
Or
want
the
to
job
clarify.
description
But
tonight.
my comments were meant to Councillor Whiffen for his points that were clearly rehashing, and that's what I meant, not to your comments about wanting to separate it. I respect your objection to the job description, and now that you laid out a couple of other points, especially. So I'm sure there'll be more discussion on that. Councillor Whiffen.
Yeah, so I guess in terms of the job description itself, there were a couple of things that I brought up in the meeting that I thought were relevant. In the fact of the structure, I thought that the position should report to the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation, as a large part of the responsibilities are to assist that person in their duties, in addition to some individual responsibilities of that person. There is no job classification on the job yet. Where I think it is and where everybody else thinks it should be, I don't know, because there's no class on it yet, so which means we don't know what the salary is going to be in there. I don't think it requires some of the things that are in there, management responsibilities. I think that there's a lot of, I think that, it could be, there's a varying level of skills that can be used in here, and I'll use Memorial University orientation as an example. That is a very large event at Memorial University, with attendance that is probably bigger than what we had at Salmon Festival last year. And that entire event is run and managed by a student. And students at Memorial University organize a lot of these types of events all year long. And I know, because I was one of those students that did this job, and other jobs besides. So, the requirement for 3 years experience, the management experience, the reporting structure, the fact that there is no job classification on it yet. So until we see the full job description, I'm not willing to vote on this position right now.
Okay. Of course, we've already voted on this, but I did allow Councillor Whiffen, in light of some additional comments I made, if anybody wanted to make additional comments, it's fine. Okay, so we all good to move on? No other discussion on the committee of the whole minute, which is already voted. We got one more order of business, which is the rest of the minutes. Deputy Mayor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Committee of the Whole met 6 p.m. Thursday, February 8th, 2018. Those in attendance were myself as chair, Mayor Barry Emanuel, Councillor Rod Bennett, Councillor Mark Whiffen, Councillor Sean Feener, Jeff Sanders, our Town Manager Clerk, Keith Antle, our Director of Parks and Recreation, and Nelson Chapman, our Director of Engineering and Works. First order of business is a meeting with Jeff Andrews. Jeff Andrews attended the meeting at 6 p.m. Mr. Andrews outlined several issues he has experienced with the town with respect to snow clearing. water and sewer issues, and property damage at 178 Lincoln Road. 2 claims are with the insurance company. Mr. Andrews was excused at 7 p.m. The committee recommends staff follow up with the adjuster on the outstanding claims and provide a report at the next Public Works and Planning Committee meeting. Next order of business, Mr. Mayor, we met with Lori Hennessy. Ms. Hennessy came to the meeting at 7 p.m. Ms. Hennessy wanted to inform Council of the status of her not-for-profit organization called Be the Change Incorporated. She is now registered with Revenue Canada, has insurance and a board of directors in place. She has had several small-scale fundraising events, and they have been successful. She is hoping to have a building available this spring to operate her fundraising events. The goal of the Be the Change Incorporated is to raise sufficient funds to construct affordable housing. The committee thanked Ms. Hennessy for her presentation, and she was excused at 7:30 p.m. Adventure Central meeting. The mayor attended the Adventure Central meeting in November 2017, and there were a few points that he wanted followed up by our staff. Very few attending the meeting were aware of the Joint Council Committee in Central. It was suggested that Adventure Central staff be invited to the next Joint Council meeting and make a presentation on their organization. Randy Edison is the new executive director of IRMA. He will be invited to the next Economic Development, Tourism and Heritage Committee meeting to discuss their future plans. Nalcor and the new dam regulation is a concern for the Grand Falls Windsor area and access to the Exploits River. The mayor suggests staff follow up with Nalcor for an update on that issue. The committee recommends that these issues from the Adventure Central meeting be addressed. Central Health. The committee discussed the concerns being raised with the announcement of a review of Central Health by Minister Haggie. It is important that we monitor this situation to ensure services and employment are not impacted at the Central Newfoundland Regional Health Centre. Our MHAs have been contacted, and we certainly expect their support. The committee recommends staff continue to follow this issue and provide updates to Council. Centennial Park, correspondence from Wayne Lynch and Andy Barker. The committee reviewed the correspondence outlining why Centennial Park should be named the Shannon-Diddy Centennial Park. The committee recommends the name be changed to Shannon-Diddy Centennial Park to reflect the monument that was erected in 1967. Municipal signage will be changed to the new name. Correspondence with respect to the CNIB 100th anniversary. The committee discussed correspondence from the CNIB requesting Council consider proclaiming a special day in June to celebrate this milestone in their history. The committee recommends that this be approved, and staff will follow up with Ms. Ryan to finalize the details. Organizational operational review. The committee discussed the draft document as presented on the organizational and operational review. The committee recommends that this document be reviewed by Council for any feedback, and it will be discussed at the next Committee of the Whole meeting. Parks and Recreation Administrative Assistant. The committee reviewed the job description and recommends it be approved. The meeting adjourned at 9:15 p.m. and I move the recommendations and report of this committee.
Okay, it's been moved by Deputy Mayor Brown, seconded by Councillor Feener. Any discussion on the Committee of the Whole minutes?
Just with respect to the
Deputy Mayor.
review being conducted by the provincial government on Central Health, and I know, Mr. Mayor, you've been certainly on top of this right from the get-go and have been in contact with the meeting, did some interviews, and did them very well. But I guess Council's opinion, as we discussed in our committee, is that, you know, maybe the review might be a benefit to Central Newfoundland and the Central Newfoundland Regional Health Authority. But certainly our goal is to ensure that the services being offered at our local hospital here on Union Street in Grand Falls, Windsor, not be affected with respect to this review. And certainly we've impressed on our 2 MHAs and have written, or in the process of writing, our Minister of Health, Dr. Haggie, and ensuring that we get to meet with him to express our concerns and with respect to this issue. And I know you'll speak to that as well, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the whole issue around services at Grand Falls, Windsor Central Newfoundland Regional Healthcare Center is, we don't want to see any downgrade in services. Certainly, if there's anything that would improve services from that report, we would welcome it. We don't know what the terms of the report will be in terms of what they'll be looking at studying exactly yet. We don't know what's going to come out of that report, and it's difficult to comment fully on that until we get the report. But, you know, which I know all council feels the same way. Sometimes it's difficult. These issues arise in a hurry sometimes. Council doesn't always have the opportunity to scramble together personally, so we do some things by email. And I know that council feels strongly that we want to ensure that the service level here in Grand Falls, Windsor is maintained. We also hope that improvements, wherever necessary, anywhere in the region, would occur. We just don't want it to happen at the expense of Grand Falls, Windsor, and we're not suggesting that will be the case, but if it were, that would be our concern. So we will certainly keep on top of that and look forward to the results of the report and see what comes back. Any other discussion on the committee of the whole minutes? Councillor Whiffen.
I just want to speak to the renaming of the Centennial Park to, or I guess fixing the sign on Centennial Park to Shannon Centennial Park. And I just want to speak to it because I recently took a personal vacation to Australia, and Australia settled very similarly to the way Newfoundland and Labrador did and the way Canada did as a colony. And what I noticed down there was there was a lot of recognition for their Aboriginals and Indigenous people, and what was done to them in a similar fashion as the British did here. And so you walk around and you see a lot of signs on even public buildings and public monuments recognizing that this was once land occupied by Aboriginal people in Australia. So to notice that we have such a really deep Aboriginal culture and history here in Newfoundland and Labrador as well. So it's good to see that we are recognizing that here by placing that name on Centennial Park or Centennial Field, and is something that could probably be we could learn more from, not just here in Grand Falls, Windsor, but right across the province. So I'm glad to see that we're recognizing that.
Yeah. I would add, though, that we have been recognizing it through the monument, certainly for a long time. The requests that came in recently, I guess, alluded to more recognition required by way of a sign, and that's what council has agreed to do. So it just further shows the support, I guess, for Shannon did it and the park to be named as such. So glad that has taken place. I know everybody, well, I assume everybody feels the same. That's the indication I got from the meeting when we were discussing it. Any other discussion on the committee of the whole minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Any notice of motion? No notice of motion. We'll move into other business. And tonight, first up is Deputy Mayor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you noted earlier in the Parks and Recreation Committee minutes, our annual Winterlude starts this Friday. Just to highlight some of the events kick off at 12 o'clock on Friday with the Lumberjack Special, an annual event by the Memorial United Church. So I'd like to ask for people to attend that. They've always put off a baked beans, bologna, tontins, and molasses bun for only $8 a plate. So we'd encourage everybody to take part in our Winterlude and take part in that particular event. There are numerous skiing events that maybe Councillor Whiffen can speak to when it comes around to him. I'd like to highlight also the Eileen Dormady Memorial Invitational Bowling Tournament is on next Friday night as well. And I know that's a very well-attended event and has been ongoing, a very successful event, organized by the Dormady family and has been ongoing for many years now. And finally, just to highlight that on Saturday, February 17th, From 9 to 11, the Winterlude Community Family Breakfast at the Windsor Pentecostal Church from 9 to 11. I got to attend that event last year, Mr. Mayor, with Gus the Moose, and certainly one of the better attended events for our Winterlude, so I encourage everybody to attend that as well. And I guess our 26th annual Winterlude scheduled events is on our town website and on our Facebook page. So all that happening this weekend, so I encourage all the residents to find an event you like and certainly take part. There's many events the weekend, certainly something for everybody in the community, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to wish the Cataracts good luck this weekend as they start their semi-final against the Clarenville Caraboos. In Clarenville, it's a 4-7 series. And the following weekend, the series will return to Grand Falls Windsor. And also our Grand Falls Windsor Blades, our other hockey team, begin their semi-final, I think this weekend, Mr. Mayor, in Twinningate. And that team had to defeat Springdale Inc. twice this past weekend here in Grand Falls Windsor to advance to the playoffs. So good luck to those guys, and well done for advancing to the playoffs at all. It's a very even league. The teams are very evenly matched, and the games could go either way. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brown. I should mention that the forecast is promising 5 to 10 centimeters of snow on Friday, so we're hopeful we'll get that to just put a little bit of powder on top of what we got now to make Winterlude a little better. I never thought I'd be wishing for snow, but that's the case. Councilor Cody Davis.
Thank you. I'm just back from Florida, so I'm not wishing for any snow. I'm happy with what I saw when I got home. As cold as it was good to be home, but the reason I was in Florida is one of the items I had on my notes here tonight. I want to say congratulations to the Exploits Valley High cheerleading team who participated in the World's High School Cheerleading Competition on Saturday and Sunday in Orlando, Florida. It was a very busy trip. The team placed 6th in their division, which was the junior varsity non-tumbling division. And competing on a world stage, obviously 6th place wasn't the position that they had hoped for. But we couldn't be prouder of the team. Their coaches, Shauna Guy, Megan Reeves, and Jessica Kinney, just have done a fantastic job with this group. Obviously, there were lots of nerves. We were in an arena. I mentioned to Mayor Manuel before the meeting, the arena, the ESPN Center that we were in, seated 9,000 people and was divided into quarters, and the cheerleading competition was happening in each quarter of the facility. So the day that we arrived in the airport, they were also expecting an additional 20,000 cheerleaders arriving that day, and that's not to mention the thousands of cheerleaders who had arrived prior to our arrival the day before. So it was a massive event, a huge learning experience for them. To be able to compete on a world stage was just amazing. They were able to take in the parks at Disney and had a lot of fun there. The event was just phenomenally organized. They had extended hours. They shut down Magical Kingdom on Friday night just for cheerleaders and their coaches and parents. So it was closed to the general public, and they had extended hours on some of the rides. And then on Sunday night, they did the same thing, shut the park to the public, and kept it open from 10 till 1:30. And they had DJs at opposite ends of Universal or Hollywood Studios, at that point, and just different rides open. It was a very nice team building exercise. It was a great opportunity to see all of the other teams from around the world competing, the different styles of cheerleading, the size of the teams, the ratios of the male cheerleaders to female cheerleaders, and so it was just a great experience. So I want to say thanks to the coaches, and I also want to say thanks to everybody who supported the fundraising efforts of the team, because we all know these competitions, the travel alone, costs thousands of dollars and is difficult to achieve without the support of the community and the businesses in the community. So thanks to everyone who supported, and congratulations to the team for sure. I also want to say congratulations to the principal of Expo's Valley Intermediate, Mr. John Antle. And just last week or so, Principal Antle was named one of the top 40 principals across Canada. And I have 2 children at Expo's Valley Intermediate, so I see how that school operates on a daily basis, and the interaction with the principal, you know, and how he runs at school, the interaction he has with the students, with his staff, with the volunteers, groups that go in there. You know, it's a fantastic school. He does a wonderful job, and he knows and he recognizes that the job he does is directly related to his vice principal and to his support staff as well, so, and all the teachers. So certainly congratulations to Principal Antle, and we look forward to his continued work in the school system, and we look forward to having other principals in our area recognized as well, because we know we have such a fantastic school system here in Grand Falls, Windsor, and such supportive teachers and principals and vice principals. So we expect to see other teachers in this area or principals in this area receive that award as well. So congratulations, Principal Antle.
Thank you, Councillor Cody Davis, and a tough job that they do as well, no doubt, this day and age especially. Councillor Feener.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This past Saturday night, myself and Councillor Bennett attended the 60th wedding anniversary of Wynne and Lillian Higgins. It was at the St. Joseph's, and we presented a plaque on behalf of the town in appreciation of their long life together. And I got to say, there was excess of over 100 people there. The Higgins family itself are very musically inclined, and it was quite the hoedown. Wynne, 82 years old, God loving, took a few tunes on the harmonica, and it was quite enjoyable. So I just want to stand right and congratulate the Wynne and Lil on their 60th anniversary. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Whiffen, or Councillor Feener, rather. Councillor Whiffen.
Yeah, I'd like to recognize actually Beth Young of the Exploits Nordic Ski Club, who attended the trials and is selected to the Central Newfoundland team for the Newfoundland and Labrador Winter Games that will be held in Deer Lake from the 10th to the 18th of March. And with that, there are only 4 females between the ages of 12 and 18 that are selected to this team. So that's quite an accomplishment, and for us, particularly given, I guess now it was 8 years ago when we last hosted the games, and we never really had a ski club to draw from or any athletes to participate in that. To now having quite a ski club, and even one of our own athletes who came up through the Jackrabbit program now made it to the Central Newfoundland team. So certainly goes to show the involvement and the growth of the sport in Grand Falls, Windsor, and the investment into the facility. And I guess to follow up on Councillor or Deputy Mayor Brown's comments, if anyone would like to try or to get involved with the ski club, there are a few events this weekend at the Winter Lude that you can check out. Starting Friday night from 7 to 10 p.m. There's a moonlight ski and snowshoe, and of course the trails are lit now, so it's very nice being down there at night actually. I went for a night ski last weekend, so the lights are nice. On Sunday afternoon there is a family ski and snowshoe, so you can come down to the trails, take a loan of some equipment down there, and give the trails a shot, give the trails a try. On Sunday from 3 to 5, it's just another social ski. So again, anyone wishing to come out and give it a try, there will be people, volunteers at the hut, giving out equipment. And on Monday for seniors from 2 to 4, there will be a snowshoe at the hut as well. So all that information is available on the town website and within the recreation brochure.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Whiffen. I'm impressed with your use of the young lingo there. You said the trail's lit. Anyways, my dry humor for this evening. I do have a few things to do. Some of these things, of course, were already mentioned that I was going to mention, but last time I recognized a couple of local gymnasts who took part in the Memorial University team, and I learned after our meeting, about 5 minutes after our meeting, actually, someone texted me and said that Bailey Tuck was also on that team, so I want to apologize to Bailey for not mentioning her at that time, along with Courtney Pinsent and, who was the third one, Amy? And Jordan Wolfrey. So those three ladies were, and they took home the championship at the time in their division, and that was great to see. Also, along the lines of congratulations, Grand Falls Windsor's own Andrew Taylor will be going to the Briar. And many people may know Andrew here in town, a young fellow who grew up here, curled here, and now is a part of the Smith Rink. And for the first time in I don't know how many years, Brad Gushu finally won the Briar so someone else could go besides his team. So this year we'll be hoping for an all Newfoundland Labrador Briar. But Andrew is, I'm sure, looking forward to that, and we wish him all the best in that lifetime experience. A few of us, if not all, were at the Search and Rescue Center about a week and a half ago for the unveiling of their new command center, and what a beauty it is. Some $330,000, I think it cost to get that project in place. The Lions International, were big sponsors in that. The Lions International matched a lot of the fundraising efforts that they did, up to $100,000 American, and they ended up with a big boost, because first when we heard about this command center, and I think originally it was something like a $250,000 price tag, and we were, whew, that's a lot of money and that's a lot of fundraising, but true to form, our local search and rescue group took the bull by the horns, and they raised that money quicker than I think any of us ever would have thought that they did, and they're proud of their new unit. We hope it sits in the grads and rots without having to be used, but we know that's not the case. And our search and rescue team, like a lot of our emergency personnel, really go above and beyond. You got a bunch of volunteers who can be called out anytime, any day of the year, in any conditions for God knows how long, all in the name of trying to save others. And they've been very successful in that many times, and we wish them all the best in the future. And of course the town was proud to play a small part in that fundraising effort, so it was nice to see. The Heritage Society had their AGM last week, and I attended, as well as Deputy Mayor Brown, and again there may be others, I can't recall now. I know Deputy Mayor was asked to do the elections. So we'd like to congratulate Lucien Forbes, who's returning as president. A good crowd, actually. There was 30 to 40 people, I would say, at that annual general meeting, and very active society we have, and look forward to bigger and better things as we continue to recognize our heritage. Along the lines of heritage, the Grand Falls House Committee Foundation, they have their annual general meeting coming up next Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the Corduroy Brook Nature Center on Conservation Place, and that is open to the general public if anybody wants to attend. That's February 21st, 7 p.m. The third annual Fill It Up with Food will be coming up now in the first couple of weeks in March. That was the last couple of years. We partner with a couple of people, Jack and Gabrielle Kelly Brinson, and they, I'm sure, will be on board again this year. And what we want to do, once again, is fill up the town hall lobby with as much food for our food banks as we possibly can. So keep your eye out for that, and that'll be well publicized, and we thank people for their support in the past. The last thing I will mention is and I'm not sure if Deputy Mayor mentioned this or not in his comments about Winterlude, the Corduroy Brook Family Day is going to take place this Saturday as well as part of the town's Winterlude, sponsored by the Corduroy Brook Association. And I know from being out around that building that we've got a huge amount of prizes that have been donated by the community. There'll be all kinds of giveaways. We have free chili and soup and beverages and hot chocolate and hot dogs and sliding and bonfires and sleigh rides. So come on out, 10 o'clock Saturday morning, bring the family and enjoy a great day. Unfortunately, this year we will rope off the pond itself. We usually have an ice skating rink and some ice fishing and that, but we decided to err on the side of caution this year and to restrict it to the field. So again, that 5-10 centimeters that Mother Nature is promising on Friday, we're looking very much forward to for our sliding hill, and hope to see everybody there on Saturday. And with that, I will call for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Cody Davis, seconder. Councillor Feener, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. We'll see you next time.